Well, good morning. So today we're going to jump into chapter number 2 of Ecclesiastes. Chapter number 2. I'm going to start reading. You listen along. Starting in verse number 1. I said to myself, come on, let us try pleasure. Let us look for the good things in life. But I found that this was too meaningless. So I said, laughter is silly. What good does it do to seek pleasure? After much thought, I decided to cheer myself with wine. And while still seeking wisdom, I clutched at foolishness in this way. I tried to experience the only happiness most people find during their brief life in this world. I also tried to find meaning by building huge homes for myself and by my planting beautiful vineyards. I made gardens and parks, filling them with all kinds of fruit trees. I built reservoirs to collect the water to irrigate my flourishing groves. I bought slaves, both men and women, and others were born into my household. I also owned large herds of flocks, more than any other king who had lived in Jerusalem before me. I collected great sums of silver and gold, the treasure of many kings and provinces. I hired wonderful singers, both men and women, and had many beautiful concubines. I had everything a man could desire. So I became greater than all who had lived in Jerusalem before me. And my wisdom never failed me. Anything I wanted, I would take. I denied myself no pleasure. I even found great pleasure in hard work and rewards for my labor. But as I looked at everything I had worked so hard to accomplish, it was so meaningless, like chasing the wind. There is nothing worthwhile anywhere. So I decided to compare wisdom with foolishness and madness. For who can do this better than I, the king? I thought wisdom is better than foolishness, just as light is better than darkness. For the wise can see where they are going, but fools walk in dark. Yet I saw that the wise and the foolish share the same fate. Both will die. So I said to myself, since I will end up the same as a fool, what is the value in all my foolishness? This is all so meaningless. For the wise and the foolish to both die. The wise will not be remembered any longer than the fool. In the days to come, both will be forgotten. So I came to hate life because everything done here under the sun is so troubling. Everything is meaningless, like chasing the wind. I came to hate all my hard work here on earth, for I must leave to others everything I have earned. And who can tell whether my successors will be wise or foolish? Yet they will control everything I have gained by my skill and hard work under the sun. How meaningless. So I gave up in despair, questioning the value of my hard work in this world. Some people work wisely with knowledge and skill, then must leave the fruit of their efforts to someone who hasn't worked for it. This is too meaningless, a great tragedy. So what do people get in this life for all their hard work and anxiety? Their days of labor are filled with pain and grief. Even at night, their minds cannot rest. It is all meaningless. So I decided there is nothing better than to enjoy food and drink and find satisfaction in work. Then I realized that these pleasures are from the hand of God. For who can eat and enjoy anything apart from him? God gives wisdom, knowledge, and joy to those who please him. But if a sinner becomes wealthy, God takes the wealth away and gives it to those who please him. This too is meaningless, like chasing the wind. So let's take a quick look at a couple of things here. Let's look at what does this mean and why does it matter? So we see the first thing as we open up the chapter, he pretty much said, let the good times roll. In verse number 1, he says, come on, let us try pleasure. Let's look for the good things in life. Skipping on to verse 3, he says, and after much thought, I decided to cheer myself with wine. While still seeking wisdom, I clutched to foolishness. And we can see here that he went on to enjoy all of the things that the world says will make you happy. And he concluded several times in that chapter, it's all meaningless, like chasing the wind. The next thing we see in the chapter, he looks at the wise and the foolish. So I decided to compare wisdom and foolishness and madness. And he came to the conclusion in the end, they all die. It's meaningless. It's like chasing the wind. And then one of the last things we see in this chapter, he looked at work. Verse number 18, he says, I came to hate all my hard work here on this earth. Skipping on down to verse 22. So what do people get in life for all this hard work and their anxiety? He compared those things and said, in the end, I die and my stuff is left to who? Who will manage it? Foolish people, wise people, how will they manage it? It's all meaningless. These were some of the conclusions that he drew in this particular chapter. However, there is a positive note we see he ends a little bit with in chapter 2, looking specifically at verse number 24. He said, so I decided there is nothing better than to enjoy food and drink and to find satisfaction in work. Then I realized that these pleasures are from the hand of God. For who can eat and enjoy anything apart from him? God gives wisdom and he gives knowledge to those who please him. The true pleasure is in acknowledging the things that God has given us. So we see in conclusion, when you look at the typical results we get out of just life itself, it's more like chasing our tails. True happiness is not found in stuff or status, but in every simple pleasure and in trusting God's purpose. And as I've stated several times already, I'm going to read you the conclusion of the book. We find it in chapter 12, verse number 13. That's the whole story. Here now is my final conclusion. Fear God and obey his commandments. Find pleasure in the simple things and thank God for them. Have a good day, y'all.